Welcome to the Out of Capes podcast for Flash Season 1, Episode 14, titled Fallout. This is a weekly podcast focusing on CW's The Flash series. I am your co-host, Staffa.
And I'm Eric.
How you doing, Eric?
I'm good.
All right. For those of you new to this show, the way how this show is structured is first we're going to have a discussion on last night's episode. After that, we're going to review and rate what we thought about the episode. And after we close the show, we're going to have some theories and potential spoilers. So basically, anyone who doesn't want to listen to those, who doesn't want to get spoiled on what might happen after this episode, you can stop there. And if you want to listen to theories and potential spoilers, then go ahead and keep listening. So anyways, let's get going and start talking about last night's episode.
Okay.
Alright, what do you want to talk about first about on the episode?
Let's see. We can do the murder investigation.
Yeah, since that didn't take up a big portion like unlike last week.
Yes.
Yeah, I find it funny that both Barry and Joe have access to this lady's home whenever they want at this point.
Here's the thing, though. I had the same thought, but then I looked up and possibly they could have just put her in a hotel, because if they say they're doing a case on reopening the case, then they could actually put her in a hotel for the time being, like the police department could.
But they never said that though.
No, they don't.
Last week, Joe sent her to the movies.
Yes.
He didn't say I sent her to a hotel. He was like, I sent her to the movies.
The thing that bothered me about the whole thing is how Barry has supposedly spent his whole life trying to figure out this mystery, but has never been back to that house before then. You would think that's probably the first place he would go if he's going to start investigating your parents' murder.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Barry, once again, he's all like, do you think Harrison Wells did it? 'Cause I assure you, he had nothing to do with my mom's murder. Even though he's already shown that there's some shady stuff to him.
Yes.
And he's done some questionable things, he used Girder as a sacrificial lamb to Electro Vampire Man.
Yes.
So despite him doing questionable and shady things, Barry is just so adamant as to believing that Harrison has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
There's with no proof or reasoning, he just believes that.
But because Harrison Wells is his idol, so he can do no wrong.
Yep. All right. How about since we talked about the murder investigation, the time travel.
Yes.
Since that ties in with that.
Yes.
Obviously, they're hinting at time travel, that Barry will time travel at some point in this series. And as we already know, it's going to be very soon.
Yes.
And
next episode.
And he went to talk to Dr. Stein about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who basically described Speed Force without saying the word Speed Force.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. So I like that they're introducing, they're slowly introducing Speed Force into the series.
The whole series, they've been kind of hinting at it, directly saying if you have any knowledge, it's Speed Force, but they just don't call it Speed Force because they don't know that it's Speed Force.
Except for, what was it, last week where Harrison Wells straight up said Speed Force?
Yes. because he has
Yeah.
future knowledge.
Yeah. Um. All right. Since we mentioned Dr. Stein, how about we start talking about Firestorm?
The big thing of this episode, sure.
Yeah. So, we had they pretty much. I mean, last week was all about Firestorm, introducing him and everything, and this week it's about pretty much um more establishing him.
Yes. And going over the whole, like, they both have to come together to become Firestorm perfectly.
Yeah. So, previously it was Dr. Stein that was in charge, and that was because they entered the Firestorm Matrix unwillingly.
Yes.
So it was like a imperfect Firestorm.
Yes.
But since they willingly created Firestorm by shaking each other's hands,
To me, it
they
looks like they're like doing some kind of like bro thing where they hold each other's hands and then they lean together so their elbows, their like shoulder blades touch.
yeah, the handshake hug.
Yeah, the handshake hug.
Yeah, it looked like they're gonna do that. So because they did the handshake hug, um, Ronnie was or how Dr. Stein likes to say
Yes.
Ronald McDonald was the one in charge, and he had Dr. Stein's voice in his head, which is more like
The comics.
yeah,
The comics, that's how it always is that Ronnie is always the body and the actual one that talks. But then the sciencey, like, brains of the bunch is always like the inner, like, monologue.
I can't hear you very well. Are you far away from the mic?
No. So
Okay.
basically how they always do it is Ronnie, or the brute, is always the face and the
Yeah.
voice of Firestorm.
Mhm.
And then the brains, like Stein, is always the inner monologue or the inner voice. That way they can also explain things without like putting it into this gigantic bubble of Firestorm talking out loud.
Yeah. Yeah, and usually in like the comics and like in cartoon depictions, they would have the brains, whoever's the brains, whether it's like Dr. Stein or what's his name, Jason Roush.
Yes.
Like he'd be like this floating transparent head
Yes.
talking,
Yeah.
but like no one else can hear him except for Ronnie.
Yes. And then like Justice League people know there's two people and they know that Jason or Dr. Stein is in there. They just refer to them as Firestorm as an entity.
Mhm.
Kind of like at the end where he says, "We will miss you," like that kind of thing where Firestorm then will start talking like plural.
Mhm. Yeah, and like both the wife and Caitlin looked at each other like, this is weird.
Yeah, so then Sis goes in the background like smiling.
Yeah, he's all cheesing. He's like, yeah, this is the coolest thing ever. I didn't have to make up a code name. We already have one, Firestorm.
Yep.
All right, so
I actually liked how they did Firestorm though, like with the white eyes and everything.
yeah,
He
yeah.
kind of looked like his comic book part where like Firestorm doesn't have like pupils.
hmm Plus, they uh like I don't like how they like pretty much they introduced him and then they took him away like
Yeah.
immediately. Like they just like made up a reason to just take him away for a few episodes or however long it's gonna be
I'll get
before he
into
comes
something about
back.
that. I'll get
What's-
into that in the spoiler section.
Spoilers? Okay.
Because something came out today, unless you've seen it already.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I'm mainly assuming that they're taking them away because of like budget, because they can't afford
Yes.
to like,
Yes, there's some like after this episode, there's gonna be a 3-week gap, but some people think it's because they need to like save money on CGI for Grodd and everything.
Okay. And I'm also assuming that whenever he does come back, he'll have the suit.
Yes.
They'll
Hopefully.
put it together with the people at Pittsburgh or whatever.
That was actually a very good like nod because in the comics, Stein and Ronnie are both from Pittsburgh.
Ah, okay.
That's why they said I have a calling there.
All right. Let's talk about Iris since it ties
Iris.
in with what we were just talking about.
Yes.
So, um, a small part of this last night's episode was Iris starting her investigation because she got offered a Danish.
Yes.
So,
And
I'm
Easton.
I'm assuming that this is going to lead to her um, basically snooping around to eventually find out that Barry is the Flash.
Yes, probably. That's what I think
Which,
too.
which like he should have told her by now, anyways. Like regardless of what Goofy Joe says,
Yes.
because like Barry is telling everybody about his powers. Like Dr. Stein's wife. You
Yeah.
know, he's
And the
he's
thing too is like, since he is the Flash and like she's investigating the Flash, you would think he would tell her. That way he knows like her boundaries of where she can go and not like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
how to
like
put
like
him in the right light and hey, don't follow me to this area, blah blah.
like Joe has it backwards. He's like, don't tell Iris so we could keep her safe. But because she doesn't know, she's like, snooping around and getting herself into trouble, and like, Girder going after her because she's writing these articles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like she'd be safer if Barry just told her rather than Barry not telling her.
Yeah.
But that's what I think. I think that this is just basically going to lead to her finding out
I mean,
about.
in the comics, she knows.
Mhm.
And I remember like how she, like when he finally does tell her, it's like on their honeymoon, and she goes, "Well, I've known for a while now. I just thought it was like your little secret, and I just wanted you to have your own little secret."
Ah, okay.
So it's kind of like the Commissioner Gordon, like Quentin thing, where they know, but they rather just not say it out loud.
Mhm.
That way, it just keeps up the act.
Speaking of Quentin, I found it funny when Roy confronted Quentin and he's like, "You could quit the act, Roy.
Yes.
I know it's you. You wear that red hood everywhere."
I mean, that's spoiler, but supposedly there's rumors that Quentin's gonna, or Cisco and Joe are gonna go over to Arrow and do like investigation with Quentin.
Hmm.
So we'll see how that goes.
That sounds like it could be cool. Cause I
Yes.
like Quentin. I like the
So,
actor
so
playing
they
him.
can have two cops and Cisco do the investigation and so forth.
Uh huh. All right. Um. So let's talk about General Eiling,
Or
General
General Lex Luthor.
Two-Star Lex Luthor,
Yes.
and Professor Harrison Wells.
Yes.
So, seems that Harrison Wells was, I mean, like going back to the whole being shady and stuff like that.
I just don't understand, like, how does Stein not like tell anyone what Wells did? Like, he was drinking with Wells, then all of a sudden, like, he just collapses, and then somehow he appears in a military base.
It's because of amnesia.
He does not have amnesia. Huge plot hole. That's what I call that.
Yep. Like I knew there was something odd when he put like a big cube of ice in one glass but not the other.
Yeah.
Like obviously, I was like, wait, what? I mean, I've mentioned on the show before, I don't drink, so I don't know anything about anything drinking. But like, I just thought it was weird that it's like, okay, he has a big piece of ice, but he doesn't.
I mean, it could be that his teeth are sensitive. Who knows? But yeah, you're right. I understand what you're saying.
Um, what else? Oh, I found it funny that General Lex Luthor uh, was able to find out Barry's identity just from seeing his face from when Plastique died, when that was like the complete opposite of how it worked out in the Justice League cartoon when Lex and Wally West.
I don't know who this is.
Yeah, he unmasked himself, looked in the mirror. He's like, I have no idea who this is.
But here's the thing, though. Like, he uses government facial recognition, kind of like what Arrow does.
Well, how do you use facial recognition from your own memory?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, if I was this, General Eiling,
Hmm.
I'd be like, okay, that's just an ordinary white guy with brown hair.
Yeah. Who knows? He could have just get satellite feed from that exact time and zoomed in right when Barry takes his mask off.
Okay, I just think it was like poorly explained.
Yeah.
Especially since like the exact same actor had the exact same situation in the Justice League cartoon where he's like, I have no idea who this is.
Exactly.
Maybe it's because Wally West is a nobody and everyone knows who Barry Allen is, right?
Yes. Yep. Everyone knows who he is.
He's more famous than Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
Um, what else about? Oh, I also thought it was funny that General Eiling had a magical grenade for everyone's weakness.
Oh yes. Like it's like, oh, I just created this other thing, and it's like metal spikes.
And like he didn't have to throw at the person.
Damn, Firestorm. I was like, how do you know like how to take out every person?
He didn't even have to throw it at them. He just throws it straight up into the air, and then it does whatever it needs to do.
Yes.
Like these magical grenades. It's like, how'd you know my only weakness? Well, this grenade. It knows your weakness. um. Okay, so like the whole team up between Harrison Wells and General Eiling. Do
Yes.
you do you think Wells was like wanting General Eiling to do all that, or was he just trying to like gain his trust just to trick him at the end, or
Yeah.
like what do you
I'm
think?
guessing it's to gain his trust. And
Hmm.
also, it's kind of experience to see like how the connection. He knew that Wells would try to torture Stein, so he also wanted to see the connection between Ronnie and them, because he knew that was the only way to get those two back
Hmm.
together was have one be in trouble.
Speaking of which,
Yes.
um, in like the comics, does the two people of Firestorm, do they have like a connection when they're outside of Firestorm?
I don't know.
I mean, like this is the first time that I've seen a depiction of Firestorm in which they have a connection while outside of Firestorm. Which I mean that's fine. I'm not saying they have to stick to the comics 100%, but I'm just saying that this is the first time that I've seen like a version of Firestorm in which uh, they have this ability.
Um.
You know, I I found one thing funny is that Ronnie mentioned he was like, "What if Dr. Stein dies?" And
Yes.
that he used that as an excuse to go save him.
Yeah.
Uh,
By the way, it is in the comic.
oh, it is okay.
They said even disconnected element of lament psychic traces of the previous user.
Ah, okay.
So like it's not as like powerful as it is when they're together, but yeah, they can like have some form of psychic ability between the two.
Okay.
Because I remember um in the comics, like when I think it was Jason was trying to get hold of Ronnie, he was trying to psychically like communicate to Ronnie when they're separated that they need to come together, and he couldn't find Ronnie. Future's Ed. There you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
You
You're
know what I'm
right.
talking about
Yes.
now? Okay.
What was I gonna say? Oh, Oh, so like Ronnie used like the excuse that what if Dr. Stein dies? What would happen to him? Well, if something does happen to Ronnie, if Dr. Stein dies, then
Yes.
he's kind of screwed because Dr. Stein is significantly older than him.
Yeah.
you know? So like if he dies of old age, then and assuming that kills Ronnie as well, that just cut down Ronnie's lifespan.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, back to Eiling and Wells. We have anything else we want to mention about that?
Um, Let me look over my notes.
I like the final scene where we actually see Wells wearing the reverse Flash suit,
Yeah.
and he reveals himself.
Also, did you notice the electrical disturbances?
The electrical disturbances.
Okay, so
Which
like
scene?
when at the end when Eiling was in office and there's all these like weird electrical things happening, and that's when Wells takes him.
Yeah.
Okay, there's electrical disturbances. Now think it through. Electrical disturbances. Where else have we heard electrical disturbances?
That electrical vampire dude.
No. There were supposedly in the previous episode there was electrical disturbances in the sewers, which caused those people to go down there, and that's where we first saw Grodd. So electrical
Oh.
disturbances mean that Wells has been going down the sewer multiple times with Grodd to see Grodd before this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of pieces together everything a little.
Yeah. I like the voice of Grodd.
Yes.
It sounded very menacing. Um, and like it's just that final scene as it is, it just got me really excited to see what's coming up next. Um,
Because Grodd has the mind control ability.
hmm Yeah, I think one thing that this show really does well is like the final scenes when they have a final scene with Harrison Wells. Like
Yes.
those always seem to be my favorite scenes of each episode.
Yeah.
Like it does a really good job getting me excited to see what comes next.
Yes.
Do we have anything else to talk about before we review and rate?
Um, Not really.
All right. I believe it's your turn to give a rating.
Okay. Well, my rating for this episode is a 5 because I really love this episode.
5 out of what? I mean, 5 what out of 5?
I would give it 5. 5 Cisco's.
5 smiling Cisco's.
Yes.
um, I would give this. I think I'd give this a 4 magical grenades out of 5.
Okay. Why?
4 magical grenades. Like I think it was a really good episode. There's just something missing from it to make it, a 5.
Yeah.
Uh, but like I think it was just a solid episode. Um, I think what was kind of missing was probably an actual bad guy. I
Besides
mean,
Eiling.
yeah, besides Eiling, and for some reason Barry would knock out all the other soldiers except for Eiling,
Yeah.
and Barry's nemesis of this episode was getting caught on fire. You know,
Yep.
so that because of that, like I think if there was like an actual, like metahuman for him to fight, I think that could have made it better. Uh, not just thrown in there, but like actually part of the episode. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But 4 magical grenades out of 5 that know exactly what your secret weakness is.
Yep.
All right. So let's wrap up the show before we go into spoilers and theories. Um, If you enjoy what you've been hearing, support us by liking us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Leave an iTunes review. You can contact us by sending us an email, which is capes at outofcontinues. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Capes at outofcontinues.com. All of these can be found on the website, which is www.outofcontinues.com/TV podcasts. You can, TV podcasts with an S at the end. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/outofcontinues. You can give me a tweet. I am at Sayedstafa. That's at SAYEDSTAFA. And Eric?
I'm at Emetzger. Emetzger 712.
That's EMETZGER.
712.
Yeah.
My
All
bad.
right. With that said, I am one of your co-hosts, Safa,
And I'm Eric.
and we'll see you either in the spoiler section coming up next. If not, we'll
In a
see
month.
you March 17th or March 18th.
Yeah.
Yeah, March 18th, because it's the next episode won't be till March 17th.
Yes.
So, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the spoiler section. So, spoilers.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, get out now. Alright, so what spoilers do we have?
Okay. We got. This one came out today. Is that there's a photo of Robbie Amell, aka Firestorm, on the Arrow set.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and he's wearing like the same clothes as he was in this week's episode. The like jacket with the Matrix.
Huh, so he lied. He didn't go to Pittsburgh.
But I mean, this is episode 14 of Flash.
Mm-hmm.
They're filming around 18 or 19 of Arrow, so it's probably 4 to 5 episodes from now.
Okay. Alright.
And since they use kind of chronological order, that'll be about probably a month.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
Let's talk about that final scene
okay.
with Grodd.
Yes.
So, I don't think they killed off General Eiling.
Probably not.
Because for those who know about General Eiling's character, he is basically like DC's equivalent to the Red Hulk from Marvel.
Yes.
Like, he's the exact same character. Because in Marvel, what's his name? The general that is chasing Hulk around.
Oh my gosh, I can't think of.
General Ross, I think.
Yeah.
So General Ross, he is so obsessed with taking down the Hulk that he eventually turns himself into the Red Hulk so that he can try to go after the Hulk.
Yes.
And
Eiling originally was for Captain Atom.
Okay.
He was the whole point was he's the one that kind of like Captain Atom reported to, and he manipulates Captain Atom into serving the military. At first, he attempts to transfer Atom to view his children in exchange for retrieving a lost submarine, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So, like, he eventually becomes so obsessed with, like, taking out metahumans, right?
Yes, and he becomes he had a brain tumor, and he salvaged the indestructible body of Shaggy Man.
Shaggy Man?
Shaggy Man, that's literally what his
Wow.
name is.
But he basically becomes a Hulk-like
Yes.
character.
Yes.
Like, really big and muscular. But he still has, like, his intellect, correct?
Yes.
Unlike the Hulk. Well, similar to Red Hulk, because Red Hulk also retains his intellect as well.
So think like Red Hulk, but more animal-like.
Mm-hmm.
So he has enhanced sense of smell, invulnerability, regeneration, self-subsistence, superhuman speed, stamina, and strength.
Mm-hmm. Your volume's going down again.
My bad.
Okay. So I think he's not dead,
No.
and he will, and probably Grodd, as revenge, is going to experiment on General Eiling, which will turn him into this, Hulk-like character.
Yes.
That's what I think.
I mean, in New 52, he hasn't had the powers yet. He's just a normal like soldier.
Hmm.
So that's, I mean, old 50, like before New 52, then they had the powers that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Um. What was it that you said that you were going to talk about in the spoiler section?
Though the Robbie Amell thing,
Yeah. Oh,
that's what I'm
okay.
saying. Is that
Oh,
he might show up in Arrow before he shows up in Flash again.
okay. All right. Um.
So,
And
yeah.
any other spoilers?
Um, we have 15 coming up, which is a time travel, which most people know we've talked about.
Your volume was going down again.
We've talked about 15.
Yeah.
Trying to think. There's spoilers that I know of, not to my knowledge.
All
Most
right.
of the spoilers that we are known about are we've talked about before.
Okay. Um. So, God himself.
Yes.
Do we know if he's gonna be like, if he's gonna like actually be in an episode anytime soon? I mean, like, other than like just showing up for a few seconds.
I'm guessing probably not. I have a feeling that they're not going to make Rod the big villain until season 2, and kind of like have Reverse Flash be the villain of this season.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
make sense to you?
Yeah.
Also, you think like CG wise,
Yeah.
that too.
Any other spoilers we got that we want to talk about or
Mm,
theories?
Okay, so I remember this now. They were talking to Ronnie, aka Robbie ML, about like Firestorm in general,
Yeah.
and they brought up the whole like Caitlin Snow becoming Killer Frost thing. And in the comics, Firestorm and Killer Frost are like husband and wife for a while. And so they brought it up, and he says that supposedly they are talking to like the Caitlin Snow actor about Killer Frost. So it might be happening sometime at the end of the season.
Hmm. I see.
Yes. So, and no word on Cisco becoming the breakdancing vibe yet.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for this episode then.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone who's listened. And, as I mentioned before, the next episode of The Flash will not be until March 17th, so expect our next review on March 18th.
Yes. But in the
So,
meantime, you can listen to Attic Continues.
yes, as it continues, we post up a uh, video game related podcast every Monday. So, check that out.
I'm not on it, but Staffa is.
All right. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you.
See ya.